Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm pretty excited today because we're going to talk about something that I think is going to be helpful for pretty much every single one of us. We're in this moment where we're trying to stand out online and we're trying to invite our ideal clients to engage with us. It can be a little bit tricky, it can be a little bit challenging, but if we're creative, we can come up with amazing ways and fun ways for our clients to find us. So today I have Christen, and she's going to teach us how to use quizzes to grow our businesses. I don't know about you guys, but way back when I used to do the Cosmo quiz or the Teen Vogue quiz or whatever quizzes were out there, I was doing them. I don't know if they had any bearing on reality, but it was a quiz. And if it had some results at the end, I was going to follow all of that stuff to the letter. And I feel like because we've grown up in this environment of quizzes, it's something that our clients are going to be really open to engaging with. So I'm actually truly, truly excited to talk to Christen today about this topic. But before we introduce our very special guest, I just want to say hi to Joanne and Lynn, who have been so kind to spend the morning with us over here on Zoom. And I just want to give them a moment to introduce themselves and their businesses. Joanne, you want to go ahead?
Yes, so my name's Joanne Rhea. My business is Raw Joe, and I show people how they can incorporate raw food into their meals.
Awesome. And guys, for those of you who've never been vegan or never been vegetarian or never really focused on a plant-based lifestyle, I can tell you, Joanne is amazing because she shows us how to eat our vegetables. Remember when our moms used to tell us, eat your vegetables? She was right. Our mom was absolutely right. And Joanne shows us how the vegetables can be a delicious part of our lives. So that's awesome. Thanks for joining, Joanne. And Lynn, tell us what you have going on.
Yeah, hi, my name is Lynn Gallant. I'm a wellness and lifestyle educator focused on a couple of different platforms, Juice Plus, Tower Garden, and Scout and Cellar Wines, clean crafted wine. So it's about just cleaning up your act, uh, so to speak, cleaning up your life,
I love
and
it.
yeah, reducing the toxins. So yeah, I think this is an amazing topic. I'm really looking forward to hearing about it.
Wonderful. So, drum roll, please, and let us welcome Christen. Christen, can you share with us who are you and what is your expertise?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's nice to meet you, Joanne and Lynn. Um, so I own Coffee Break Marketing. That's my agency now. The quizzes come in as part of our overall offers, and we have a department may be an overstatement, but a part of what we offer is called Quiz for Your Biz. So that's what we're talking about today. I got into marketing when I was running my own wedding dress business. So I had a wedding dress store. I made custom wedding dresses, all of that. Fell in love with the marketing and the tech side of it and ended up moving towards that with my business a few years back. So I've been in that world for a while. And then prior to all of that, I was a teacher. So that's why things like the interactive marketing and the quizzes and ways that let you get to more personal levels of understanding is one of my favorite topics in marketing in general. So
I love that you used to be an educator. I feel like that perhaps is one of the reasons why you're so good at helping to teach adults about how to grow their businesses. I think that makes a very big difference. And, I'm a firm believer that all the things that we have encountered right up until this point has really prepared us to be in this moment in our lives, this moment in our businesses. So I think your background is very supportive of what it is that you're doing in the world. Why did you say yes to hopping on our little show? I know we're critically acclaimed, but still, why would you
uh,
say yes?
basically what you just said, I love the teaching part and I love getting to talk to people about the different topics. So, when somebody has built such a well-connected community that connects well to each other and likes to have discussion and live elements to it, it makes for, you know, when you spend all day clicking buttons and typing words for copywriting and marketing, getting to talk to people face to face is a nice shift. So it's always a good conversation to have.
It's nice to talk to people face to face. I absolutely agree. So tell us, Christen, how can we use quizzes to grow our businesses?
So quizzes are interesting, and they're not the only kind of interactive marketing, but they're one of the easiest ones for people to get because of everything you said. We've all been taking quizzes from Cosmo to BuzzFeed for decades. So anytime in marketing that you can tap into a structure or an understanding they already have, and then put your content on top of it, it makes your job so much easier. You talked about teaching. In marketing, everything is teaching. You're taking people from what they already understand and you're trying to bridge the gap to what they need to understand to make a decision that's good for them. So the shorter you can make that gap, the easier your job is as a business owner and a marketer. People understand quizzes. They're not a big ask, right? Like I love webinars. I do webinars and trainings because of the teaching thing, but it's a lot to ask somebody to set aside 30 minutes to an hour. Quizzes they're 2 minutes long. They're private, but they're personal. And you get information right away, and everybody likes instant gratification. So it works well. And what it lets you do is it takes anything that you normally do to connect with somebody, whether it's helping them find out clarity about what they need to do next, whether it's pre-qualifying them for certain products based on what they have in place. You're just taking systems you already know work and you're automating it. And the quiz questions let you do that. So that's when people say, well, I don't know how I'd use that. You're probably already using, like you ask people questions to understand more about them. This is just making it automated so that it can be on all the time, which we can't be. So that's how quizzes will work the best for growing your audience. I also have a couple clients who use it in their actual service delivery, whether it's an onboarding process or even as they've already got people on their radar as leads, but it's a pre-qualifying kind of thing to help them get into the process of figuring out where to go. So there's a couple places you can plug it in, but the most common is list building and getting people kind of into your world.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I want to say hello to our friends who've joined us over on our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hi, Gina. Hi, Lillian. Hi, Robin. We have a couple of comments for you, Christen.
Sure.
Gina says, I would love to chat to you on this marketing strategy. I'm always interested in giving my clients support with what they need. And Gina is a holistic business coach. So I think that would be a really good connection for both of you. And Robin says, I've been wanting to build a quiz and haven't quite landed on what I want to create. So you mentioned that there's different ways that we can incorporate quizzes in our businesses. But for somebody who doesn't even know what they want to create, how would you go about supporting them?
Right. And this ties into, you sent some really good kind of like thought-provoking questions to think about before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was must-dos for success and things to avoid. And my answer for that is the same, because it's the number one thing that will either make quizzes something that's easy to do or not work. And that's to start at the end and work backwards to make your quiz. Because if you're looking, there's infinite options of types of quizzes that you could do, or even topics that you could do as a holistic business coach, or even about vegan food, or any of this stuff, right? Like we could come up with lots of different quiz topics, but because we're not just trying to make a quiz for a quiz sake, we're trying to make a quiz to support people in moving from point A to point B, so they know what to do next or what information they need or whatever it is. We need to start with where we need them to end up, because that will let us know which questions will help sort them into those buckets, because the buckets are how we help them at the end of the quiz. As we know which bucket they fit in, then we can give them whatever support is right for what we do to help them, right? So like if you're a social media coach and you help people figure out how to get their business on social media, and you're trying to help them see which platform is a good fit for them, versus helping them see what their brand voice is and how to show up on social media, those would both be very powerful quizzes, but they might not help people with the thing that you want to help them with. So that's why we have to start with the end. And then we work our way backwards to, okay, what questions can I ask that will let me sort people into those buckets? And then, what answers would help me see which bucket they fit in. And then once I know the results, buckets, the questions, the answers, what's the title? What's the landing page? How am I getting them into it? So we're actually building it backwards. And that's what we do when we do it for clients. That's what we do when we teach it. It's the easiest way is to reverse engineer the quiz.
Okay, I love all of what you're saying, and I have so many questions, but I want to share a question that's showing up from Sarah over on our Facebook group. She says she has a clothing business.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, Sarah, about the details of your clothing business, but is there any way that you could use a quiz to market a clothing business?
It works so well in that industry. So our first 3 or 4 quizzes were bridal fashion because that was the industry that I came out of. So my network was very wedding centric for a few years. And clothing is great because it's very personal and people are very emotionally attached to their clothing, right? So anytime something is an emotionally driven personal thing, but that has very fact-based stuff behind it as a fashion stylist or as a clothing company or something like that, you can tie it into a quiz very well. And you have built-in visuals because it's clothing. And so you have pictures to use. It makes it very easy to communicate. When we're asking questions about brand voice, sometimes it can be hard to do more than just explain it in words. And anytime you can add multiple layers of communication, you'll get a better connection with somebody. So the fact that you have a visual element to what you're asking people, and you can say which of this resonates with you, and you're using pictures, then yeah, clothing can work really well. Anything visual is particularly good for quizzes.
Okay. And then I have Lillian. She is I'm trying to figure out what her question really is, but she sells products online and she's trying to figure out the right products to sell. Maybe a quiz might be helpful for her with something like that.
If it's directing, helping people seeing which products to offer to the customer kind of
I
thing.
think that's what she's
Yeah,
she's
it works really
to.
well for that. So that's kind of the other way people will use quizzes is sometimes we'll see you're trying to get information to give to the quiz taker. And that's what we've kind of talked about so far. This is your style. This is what you should look at next. The other kind of quiz or interactive thing you'll see is basically how can I point you in the right direction? And so we had one person who did our workshop a while back who did it in time for holiday shopping. And her quiz was built, who is the person you're shopping for? What are their interests? What's their age? Doing those questions that we're just automating what we know works in person.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just automating those questions that she would have asked somebody if they were looking for help to pick out a great gift. She put that in the quiz. It pointed people in the right direction, and she had the products ready at the other end for here are some products for you to consider. And it's a win-win because people don't like looking through all of the options. They want the best options to make the decision easier. So yeah, it can work really well for that.
Oh, okay. Those are two really good ways to use quizzes. What would you say are some other some other creative ways, outside the box ways that a quiz could help us grow our businesses?
Outside the box. Sometimes it can just be getting to know people. It can be okay if it's just fun. So depending on the industry, you might find something where it's just, what's your dream trip? And maybe you don't sell trips, but maybe you sell pitch. So there you're just tapping into a fun thing and a shared interest. So you can do that, and that's a little bit broader range. And then other times that this is maybe a little bit less fun, but it can be, you can do it to see where somebody is in their journey so that you can tell them what they're ready for too. So you'll see a really simple version of this is you can take 3-4 questions on financial planning, are you ready for a mortgage? And the same, again, the pre-screening questions they would have asked you in person, they put it in as a quiz.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make, they don't have to be 10 multiple choice questions and these kind of long personas at the end, although those are really effective. That's what my quiz is. It can be simple. And just, if I know this, this, and this about you, then I can communicate with you about something that you care about. That's really all it needs to be.
You mentioned working from the end back to the front end of the quiz. I want to talk a little bit about the end of the quiz, the point where people get their answers. This seems to me a little bit tricky because I'm remembering quizzes that I've done in the past, and you're pointing people in different directions based on the answers that they give. But how do we as business owners even come up with these answers?
The results page is the hardest part.
Okay,
They
I
really
thought
are,
so.
because it's you feel it's not something you have to do very often. Having to talk to a specific portion of a large group of people, but you don't know the people in particular. You're guessing, for lack of a better term. But there's 3 things that I tell people to try to help bring down the panic of writing results pages. First of all, the whole world is not reading them. They had to at least be interested in the quiz to have gotten to the point where they're at the results page. So you are talking to mostly your people. So we tend to think, oh, there are going to be people who won't fit into this when I have my 4 buckets, right? And we're remembering some professor that we met in college, or the person we ran into at the gas station, and thinking they won't fit in one of my 4 buckets. They're not going to be taking your quiz. So it's okay if the buckets don't fit 100% of the population. The second thing is, it's impossible to fit 100% of even your people. So go for like 80 to 90%. And when you show it to your people and somebody says, I didn't feel like it fit me, that's okay. We're automating. Automating is not going to be 100% perfect. You still manage to create a tool that's going to fit 80 to 90% of the people on demand in a way that's fun for them. And the other 10% will probably still have gotten value out of it, even though it's not necessarily like pinpoint accuracy. The third part of it is we're going for like expertise horoscopes. This is not the only time that they're going to hear from you. And so you want to make it, if you go read the horoscope section in like a newspaper where it's really short and they don't have time to do like a full reading or whatever, they're trying to make it so that it's valuable and it's going to connect with you where you are in your life in a way that you're going to interpret it to fit you. You know what I mean? So we take kind of that meeting people where they are and letting them kind of apply it like you would as a teacher or somebody giving, like a sermon. You're not going to be able to say everything exactly pinpoint detail to the individual person, but you can talk in broad terms so that it will still speak to where they are. So not expecting yourself to be perfect, but also keeping it broad enough. Don't talk about, specific numbers of followers if that's not going to be something you've already asked them. Just talk about, where they are in general and stuff like that. And the other thing is to remember, like I said, it's a one-time thing. It's not the only time they're going to hear from you. The whole point of the quiz is to get them into your world, right? So you don't need to give them all of the answers. You don't need to talk about everything. You just need to talk about enough to start the conversation to move forward, because the goal is to get them into your audience, whether it's your email list or a different call to action. So you'll have follow-up emails to talk to them that'll get triggered by the quiz. That's the point of the automation. And then the goal is to get them in a conversation with you, either by buying a product or getting on a consultation call or coming to your group or whatever your goal was. So you're not trying to solve their problems on one results page. So
I love
that helps.
I love that. I think in explaining that, you have taken a lot of the pressure off what the answers of the quiz will be, because we might be feeling as though we have to answer every question that they've ever had about our specific topic in this one little answer. And I think the reason we feel this way is because we've put so much credibility, so much credence, we've put so much pressure on the quizzes that we've taken in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for you to explain to us, after they've taken our quiz, how does that grow our business? What are the next steps that you are suggesting?
Yeah, well, so Lynn and Joanne were chiming in and saying that it can be, there's a lot of ideas that can go with this and what a tool it can be, and it definitely can be. And that's what this next step is, right? Like them taking a quiz is good. They hear your name, they see your content, they get a feel for how you talk and interact and teach and all of that. So the quiz in and of itself is a good touch point. But the goal is to grow the business and the audience and the connection long term. So there are other ways of doing this, but most of the time when somebody would set up a quiz, you would use a quiz tool, and we can talk about which ones, because I know that was something that we had also kind of brainstormed about in the email. But the quiz tool takes the people who take the quiz and it sends them to your email list. It sends the information of what they got as well. So you know that they put their email. Now, I typically don't require email on my quizzes because I like to have that double opt-in. So I'm okay with getting fewer people and letting some people see the results without signing up. So I know they really want to be on my email list. Some people will just require everybody to go on their email list. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. It's just a strategy for how you grow your list. But either way, you're sending people to your email list. And then once they get to your email list, you have welcome sequences set up specific to the results they got. So let's say that you had the clothing business and you found out that they are currently in the market, and I don't know what she sells, so I might be totally off base here, but they're currently in the market for work from home casual versus the person who's currently in the market for, corporate interviews. You would send those two different people two different sets of emails because they need different information from you. You can help both of them. You're able to serve both of them, but you would serve them in different ways. So your email system would have two different sequences set up for them, and the tag that the quiz sends to your email list triggers the right one. So once you get it set up, it does it without you having to do anything.
I love this. One of the questions that always comes up for us as entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs who do everything themselves, from changing their own toner in their copier to, the laundry in the office.
Yeah.
What sort of tech is going to be required to run a program like this?
Yeah, it's a little bit past your typical lead magnet. So when you go into Canva and you make a PDF and you set it so that people can download the checklist, that's kind of how most people are used to growing their email list. That works really well. We do that for clients too. I think you need a mix of all of these things, but quizzes, it takes you probably a month or two to get a good quiz and welcome sequence set up if you're DIYing it. When we run classes, we'll usually run them for like 3 weeks, and then people have some time to implement afterwards as well. So it takes a little bit longer, but that's around your regular work hours. I'm not saying that takes people 40 hours a week for 3 weeks. It's just that as you chip away at your marketing, it takes you a few weeks. So it probably takes, just a little bit more than a normal lead magnet would. But it converts at 4 to 5 times as much for a lot of our clients. So if you can talk yourself into a few extra hours, you'll get more volume out of it. And the tech-wise, it depends on which platforms you use, but there's some typical platforms that most people go with. The most common is Try Interact. You'll also hear people just call it Interact. That one works really well. I have a quiz that they can look at as an example that is on Try Interact. That's where I have my quiz built. That one ranges between about $40 and $80 a month, depending on how many bells and whistles you want. What's good about it is it integrates with almost any email list platform, and it works on its own. You don't have to put it in your website code to get it to work. So It's very, very user-friendly, as much as building something on a tech platform is. But anybody who has already managed to set up a welcome sequence will be able to use Interact.
Okay.
It's as long as you know your colors for your brand and you can copy and paste your questions, you'll be good.
Okay.
And then there's other platforms, Typeform and Outgrow are other third-party platforms like Interact, which means you don't have to put them on your website, but you can embed them. And then if you have WordPress, you have a little bit broader range because there's so many plugins. And the plugins can be a little cheaper. There's some that are, $80 one time, $200 one time instead of month to month. but you have to be able to put it on WordPress and know your WordPress backend. So that one takes a little bit more tech knowledge. But if they have a WordPress website, they probably already know that.
Right. And some people, when they choose to go for using some support, they usually choose that kind of support to have somebody support them with their WordPress. So I think that will be accessible for a lot of our members.
Yeah.
Any last words, any suggestions, any words of wisdom that you want to leave with us today about just embracing the idea of using quizzes in our businesses?
Last minute advice. I would say to not stress out about it being a really big undertaking. So when we help people write quizzes, one of the biggest exercises that helps people bring clarity is we tell them, imagine I gave you 20 people in a coffee shop. They were there to hear about you. What questions would you ask them to get the information you need to tell them what to do next? You know, if you had to send them the four corners of the room, how would you do that? And then we work through that process, like I said, step by step. So if you have talked to your audience at all, you know everything you need to know to make a quiz. It's just a question of pulling it out and then figuring out how it fits into the system, you know, when it's done. But it really is, it's just automating what's already in your brain as a teacher, as a coach, whatever you're doing to serve them.
I love that. Christen, we could talk about this for a really long time because it's a topic that's very robust, and perhaps we shall have you back to go into more detail about it. But I know for sure, because people have been mentioning it in the chat, that people are going to want to connect with you. So, how can people reach out to you?
Find me on Facebook or Instagram. I try my best to watch my messages. I'm always happy to answer questions. I will make sure that I watch the notifications for the live and thing too. So questions in the comments are great. ChristenSchneider.com is me. My name is spelled a little funny, but you should be able to see it on the screen. And then ChristenSchneider.com/quiz is the example of I purposely kept it simple. It is built just on Try Interact with all of their basic tools. We can make things fancier, but I like having it there so that people can see what they would be able to go in and do themselves. And the topic is, what kind of quiz should I have for my business? So it's
that's a perfect quiz.
I want to go take that useful
quiz right away.
And it's a good way to kind of just get, and then that's honestly, like, just go. Quizzes are fun, and there's a bunch of them. Go take some, and you'll get your imagination rolling. I think, but yeah, message me, comment, email, hello@ChristenSchneider.com, whatever makes sense. I'm happy to answer questions or brainstorm.
Do you have any upcoming events or promotions that you want to just shout out before
Yeah,
we go?
if you take the quiz, you'll get the information, but we are running the 3-week Get Your Quiz Built. It's not a course, it's like a hybrid. I'm there to help people do the tech every Monday, and then there's assignments through the week to help them get it done. That's coming up in April. So we'll have a 1-hour quizzes 101 like free training to help people see more about if it's a good fit for them. And if they're on the mailing list as somebody who took a quiz, we assume they're interested in it. So they would get information about that in the next couple of weeks. So the best way to stay in the loop there is to just go have fun taking the quiz for a couple minutes today, and then we'll make sure that you hear about it.
And Christen, just one last time to say your website so that people can connect.
Yeah, it's ChristenSchneider.com. So my name is ChristenSchneider.com. And then if you do /quiz, just QIZ, that'll let you go. It'll redirect you to the quiz to take it. So either of those are great. And like I said, find me anytime. I love talking this stuff. So.
And you do it so very well. Thank you, Christen, for joining us today. Thank you to everybody who joined us here on Zoom. Thanks to our wonderful, wonderful friends over on the Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. I invite you guys to hop on back at 1 o'clock today, where we're going to be talking about how to grow your business using online events that people actually pay you cash for. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting topic. So I'll see you all at 1. Have a wonderful day, everybody. See you on the next show. Bye-bye.